Okay, we're given a geometric series. We're told it's a geometric series, so that makes it a little more simple for us to figure out what its pattern is. And so we have to find out if this is going to converge or diverge. With a geometric series, you know if it converges or diverges if its common ratio, which we usually denote as r, is less than 1. If it's less than 1, then it's certainly going to converge. If it's greater than or equal to 1, then it's not going to converge, it's going to diverge. This is only the case with geometric series, which are like a special case of series. So let's figure out what this formula for this series is. And so we start at 10. So that's probably what we're going to start with, is 10. And let's remember what this series actually is. So we start with 0, right? We start with 0, we go to infinity, and we've got this constant. We've got some constant, and then we've got r taken to the power. So we can have like n right there. And so our question here is, what are these values? Because once we know what these values are, what the formula here is, we know what it can converge to if it happens to be less, if r happens to be less than 1. How do we know what it converges to? We know what it converges to with this special other formula that you have to know, which is that you have a over r minus 1. 1 minus r. Okay, that was bad. 1 minus r. 1 minus r. Sorry. 1 minus r. There's just so many things you have to memorize in Calc 2. It's crazy. This is a over 1 minus r. So this is what you use. Let's remember what this is. This is what you use to find what value it converges to if r happens to be less than 1 in here. And this here is a geometric series. You use this when you know this is geometric. So now let's find the values. So we're going to have 10 for sure be our a, because we start with 10, right? So if we plug in 0 here, this goes to 1, and we're just left with 10. So we have to start with 10. We start with 10, that's going to be our a constant. What's going to be our r? What's going to be our r? That's a little more difficult because you have to think about the exponent. You have to think, okay, we're plugging in 1, we're plugging in 2, we're plugging in 3. What actually is it that's going to give us this pattern when we multiply by 10? And so this one's difficult, but if you think about it for a long time, or depending on how quick you are, you might get it quickly. And the answer is negative 1/5. So remember that with these series, we're adding all these terms. And here we would get like, what, negative 2 we would get 10, we would get negative 2, then we would get plugging in 3, and we would get 0.4. Plugging in 2, we would get this. Plugging in 3, we would get negative 0.08, 0.08. Because we started at 0, remember? We're no longer working with just sequences, which automatically start at 1. We chose to start at